All right. We have kind of hit a turning point in this unit. So far, we have kind of traced this process of industrialization through history, some of the major developments that we use to define different revolutions in industrialization. And we've kind of explored some of the impacts on our lives socially and society, the natural environment. We've talked about some of the pollution and the economic impact, right? We've looked at different classes formed, such as the middle class perhaps becoming larger in the United States and some other Western countries. Now we are going to begin to look at the concept of sustainability. Okay, and we're going to look at it because it directly relates to industrialization. So we'll have a lesson today on what sustainability is, and we'll continue with another lesson to look more specifically at sustainability, and then you are going to tie your industry to this concept. Okay? Sustainability, the most popular definition that is widely used and thought of, I think, popularly, but involves a lot more than is often considered, is just living in a way today that will not prevent future generations from being able to live and survive. We always think of sustainability as meaning making sure there is water and food in the future, and we don't pollute the air to such an extent that there will not be clean air in the future or clean water. We do not burn fossil fuels to the extent that we have caused significantly more climate change, and this will prevent life from existing in the future. Not only our own life, of course, but the life of animals and flora. So, however, different organizations have kind of developed what sustainability is. It is a little bit more complex than that. Okay? We are going to use the UN's definition of sustainability, because remember, the purpose of your project is to create a map for the UN. And this map is for the UN's Sustainable Development Goals Division. Division means part, a department under the UN, and that department only looks at sustainability. Okay? Okay, so we are going to embrace the UN, the United Nations, concept and definition of sustainability. They don't want us to just make sure life goes on after us, people still survive and live, and animals still survive and live, but they want us to think about the quality of life now and in the future. What is the quality of people's lives? Can women use all of their skills and intellect to get out of the house, get an education, get a job they find challenging, and allows them to use all of their skills that they've developed and that they have even possibly a natural talent of? The quality of life in terms of health. Do you have access to decent health care? Is there medicine and hospitals nearby? Do you live in a situation where there's a lot of pollution in the air? There's a lot of garbage on the ground, which will affect your health? So all these things look at the quality of life. The UN established the Division for Sustainable Development Goals. They are looking at There's 17 goals that they want the world to really embrace these goals, and they do provide funding for a lot of countries and a lot of organizations to try and achieve these goals. Okay? But these goals, they don't just say make sure there's food and water and clean air for the future and animals don't die. They talk about the quality of life that's being experienced now and in the future. And now, they say, they look at, why should we care about the quality of life now? Is that part of sustainability? Well, yes. If a very impoverished community is impoverished now, that affects quality of life now, future generations of that community will still suffer a low quality of life, right? So it is fixing a problem now, and it will lead to sustainable life in the future that has more quality to it, that is not a life lived in dire unhappiness and discomfort and not adequate nutrition, so on and so forth, and so forth, and so forth. All right. So remember, for your summative project for this unit, the Division for Sustainable Development Goals has hired you to teach the public about this process of industrialization, what it means and what its impacts are. And they thought a neat way to do that was through plotting out locations across the world to show this as a worldwide process, and it's had a worldwide global impact. All right? And to show how it directly ties to the goals that we have created to make a sustainable present and future. How it's directly related to all the needs we have today in regards to these sustainable developmental goals. The process of industrialization has created the depletion of resources for industry, has created, us using fossil fuels to generate electricity, which in turn is causing climate change and massive impacts on the environment. Okay, and so you are not only going to be looking at some of these negative impacts, pollution and the loss of animal life, but you will also, on your map, you are going to find a location that shows some advances and some solutions that have been taken to provide more sustainable quality living. But today we're just going to focus on what sustainability is in terms of the UN's definition, that includes their perception of what a quality life is and their standards of quality of life. And then we will go on to have more lessons on sustainability, and then we'll also reintroduce what you're going to do in the last part of your summative, looking at some of the negative impacts of your industry, but also what are some of the solutions that have been developed.